The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt. Is there a joke about Keanu that I can make? I don't know.
So bro and whoa, we're talking.
So get your bro.
No. Like, so you're breathtaking.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Okay, let me try that again. The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt. So remember, you're breathtaking. We're talking Keanu Week.
You annoy me this week.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude. I don't know what you want me to say.
It's going to be one of those weeks.
It is going to be one of those weeks. I can't wait to crap on your favorite movie.
Like terrible movies.
Welcome back to another episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast. I'm your host, the Salty Nerd. And today's episode, we're discussing Keanu Reeves movies. That's right. Keanu.
He's the best ever.
He's awesome.
He's breathtaking.
He's honestly, like, from all accounts, a super nice guy, too.
Yeah.
Like, people come up to him on the streets, and he's just like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I feel like we did him a disservice this week when we picked these movies.
Yeah. Did you see, have you seen that TikTok video of like your nightmare celebrity encounter where people are supposed to share their stories about like meeting celebrities they love and how awful they are?
No.
And this one girl did Keanu Reeves and her whole story was about how awesome he was. And she's like, I know this was supposed to be about Nightmare, but I just love this guy so much. I have to talk about how nice he is.
Keanu's awesome, man. It's cool. Anyway, I'm joined, as always, by my illustrious co-hosts and fellow nerds, starting with Kissed by Fire, Jude.
Hello.
What's up? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You ready to talk about these terrible movies?
Yes.
All right. I'm also joined by the barbarian space Viking, Matthew Vader. What's up, dude?
Did he get it right?
Yeah, he did.
That's good.
Yeah.
I forgot. What order does it go in? I'm good, man. How are you?
Vader shook.
I know, right? It just threw him off. Threw him off his game. I'm also joined by the author extraordinaire, Matthew Kadish. What's up, dude?
Not much, bro.
Brah. Whoa. Dude, there was a dolphin in a tank in one of these movies. It was crazy. All right.
My wife looked at that and goes, what are you watching?
I said the same thing.
She turned around and walked out.
Anyway, we are discussing three Keanu Reeves movies. Johnny Mnemonic.
There you go.
Johnny Neutron. 47 Ronin and Speed. And yeah, this is going to be a great podcast, guys. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait. But before we get into it, a quick word from our sponsors.
Why do millions of Americans choose to sleep on Boll & Branch sheets? Is it the 100% organic cotton? Is it that they get softer and softer over time? Customers can't stop raving about these sheets, and there's no better time to try them for yourself or give them to someone you love. Right now, Boll & Branch is offering their best deals of the year, and you can get their incredibly soft sheets at incredibly low prices. Just go to bollandbranch.com to shop their best deals today. That's BOLLandbranch.com today. See site for details.
Present you is burnt out at your current job. But future you works at Geico. And future you is also a beekeeper.
Me? I don't even go outside.
Well, with Geico, you got a consistent schedule. So you are now one with nature, my friend.
So I've become a bee person?
Technically an apiarist. And yes, you also got a competitive salary, so you had the funds to start a new hobby.
All right. Give me that honey.
Virginia Beach. Start your future at Geico. We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.jobs/Virginia Beach.
All right, let's dive into the first movie for this week is Johnny Mnemonic.
It's mnemonic.
The M is silent.
I don't know how to say this
serious.
word. I don't
So
know how to
is the
say
E.
it.
Mnemonic. There you go.
It's mnemonic.
It's not. You guys are all wrong.
Okay. Well, either way, this movie
You ever
was
heard
freaking...
of a mnemonic device?
No.
Have you ever heard of a neuro pathway?
The way this thing is spelled is mnemonic.
Okay.
No U in it.
You guys ready to talk about the movie?
My mom was an English teacher. Okay?
Let's just talk about how to pronounce this fucking word for the rest of the podcast.
Anyway.
1994.
Thank you, Jude.
Johnny Mnemonic. In the 21st century, sensitive information is stored and transported in these implants in the brains of mnemonic couriers. And Johnny has too much information for his storage and needs to get it out or lose his head.
A whopping 300 gigs, everybody.
Yeah. So this movie
In the book, it was like megabytes.
This movie was made for $26 million. What do you think it produced?
Oh, jeez.
At the box.
35 million.
Vader, are you looking it up?
I am. $1, Bob.
$26 million budget. What was it box?
What was it, box? What is that? What
Box office.
Box office. What did it bring in?
She's getting all technical.
I know, right?
What was its box?
Who's getting
wow.
some
it's like-
movie jargon going on?
She's freaking Grace
What-
Randolph.
Take a
over
guess,
here.
man. What do you think?
Yeah.
How much did he make?
He's
$1.
looking,
said
he's
$1?
looking for the answer on his
No,
phone
I'm
right
looking
now.
at how to pronounce this stupid name.
He's going to pull it up on Google Translate.
It's annoyed the shit out of me.
This movie made a whopping $19 million.
Oh, yeah, that deserved it.
It was not a success.
It deserved it.
Yeah.
I've never seen this movie before. I've never even heard of this movie
Dude,
before.
I saw this movie in the theater opening day.
I bet you did.
I did. I went to a matinee.
Such a whack.
I'll say that the concept behind it sounded interesting, but the delivery was so far out there that I just couldn't get into it. It was like that weird post-apocalyptic future that everybody
And I
had.
hate it when they make everything look like this in the future.
Yeah. It was
Well, can
obnoxious.
I actually kind of enjoyed their take on 2021.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie takes place in January 2021.
Like next month, guys.
Yeah,
2
next
months
month.
ago.
Yeah, but basically during the second COVID lockdown. Can I set the stage?
Yeah,
for
go
this
ahead,
movie
man.
A little bit?
Set the stage. What is this movie really all about?
All right, so this is based on a short story by the novelist William Gibson, who was a very influential kind of science fiction writer in the 80s. He basically was the guy who created the cyberpunk genre. And like he had this very like influential novel called Neuromancer that basically like every underground science fiction club or convention or like whatever just like went gaga over. And he's the guy who invented the concept of cyberspace. And so in the 80s, before the internet even like was a thing, he was kind of writing this like kind of flashy science fiction-y stuff that no one had ever even conceived of before. His science fiction, instead of like rocket ships and aliens and stuff, it was about like gritty kind of near future dystopian technology influences on humanity and stuff like that. And he was like basically like the forerunner of movies like Blade Runner. And, we have this game coming out very soon called Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
And a lot of the kind of near future, like Akira, Blade Runner type cyberpunk
with the
visuals.
mix between biological and cybernetic enhancements and stuff like
just
that.
like these like neon cities and like people with like cybernetic implants and
I used to play the role playing game, the cyberpunk role playing game.
Oh, is this like not a new thing? They're just okay.
Originally, it was like a Dungeons and Dragons type role playing game.
Oh, cool.
But
It was like a big 1.5 inch thick source book.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
All this stuff was kind of influenced by William Gibson, and in the 80s, he kind of met up with this artistic guy. He's like a very influential painter and sculptor in New York, in the New York art scene. And he met at a science fiction convention. The guy had just gotten into directing music videos and stuff like that. His name was Robert Longo. And him and Gibson became friends. And Longo was like, I really want to, take one of your books and make it into a movie. And so they kind of settled on Johnny Mnemonic, which was a short story that Gibson had written. And they tried to get like $1 million to make an art house version of this movie. They were like, we're going to do it super low budget. It's going to be like super guerrilla. It's going to be very arty and like out there. And we're going to do this. And they couldn't find the money for it. Nobody wanted to give them $1 million to make this like weird cyberpunk movie. And in the early 90s, the internet was kind of becoming a thing. Like it was blowing up. And so Hollywood started doing all these kind of, internet-based virtual movies like The Lawnmower Man and a bunch of other stuff. And, they were really pushing
Hold
that.
on a second.
Wow.
The look on his face when you said The Lawnmower Man, he's all, what The F?
What is this?
What movie is that?
I've never heard of this lawnmower.
I literally
man
mouthed lawnmower man to myself, like, what? That sounds fascinating.
It's terrible.
I bet it is.
But yeah.
Pierce Brosnan, Jeff Fahey.
Oh my God, I need to go watch that now. Continue.
So, they were doing all these movies that were kind of like exploring the concept of cyberspace. And all of a sudden, William Gibson's stuff became like a real hot property because they wanted to make a movie version of Neuromancer, and there was like a big bidding war over it. But Gibson and Longo kind of had their Johnny Mnemonic movie kind of ready to go. And they said like, well, maybe a studio would want to give us $1 million for this thing. So they went to the studios, and the studios were like, we're not in the business of making $1 million art house movies. Here's $30 million. like,
Have fun.
Yeah, make a big budget movie about this. And so basically they went out and they cast Keanu Reeves, and this was Robert Longo's first like major feature film, and I believe it was Dina Meyer's first major movie as well. And so they went out and they tried to translate William Gibson's vision into film, and I don't think they did a very good job of it.
They went a little too far, I think.
But apparently the final version of this movie, a month before release, the studio came in and re-edited the crap out of it.
Oh, really?
And basically it was supposed to be like a lot funnier, a lot more cerebral, a lot more arty in its original version. And the studio was like, we want to make it more mainstream. And so they cut out Longo from the editing room and redid the whole thing. And both him and Gibson were so pissed off at the final product that Longo has never made another movie since. He's like, I can't work in Hollywood.
It's that classic studio interference. Never ends up working out very well.
I'd like to see his cut of it.
Sure.
It'd be kind of fun.
There's like a Japanese bootleg out there because like the original version was released in Japan. But for the most part, I don't think anyone cared enough about this movie to actually
like I said, the concept behind this sounded fascinating. Like things that you see nowadays with like Elon Musk's new like cybernetic enhancement that he's working on. I can't remember what the name of it was, but he's working on getting people jacked in with like these electrodes in their brain so that they can like move body parts that they like if they're paralyzed or something. So like there's these concepts that are just starting to come out in 2021. I'm like, oh man, this is what people thought was going to happen, and it's starting.
Yeah, none of this is new.
Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of
like
cool to see.
All the stuff I used to have on my hacker dude in the role playing game, but you can start to see happening now.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that kind of stuff.
There's like this sickness in the movie called NAS, which is basically it's called the black shakes, but it's caused by overexposure to electromagnetic radiation from all the technological devices that are in the future.
G5.
And, yeah, exactly. I was going to say, like, you look at like all the concerns about G5 causing cancer right now, and it's just like, oof.
Yeah, it's crazy how much of this stuff is starting to come true.
Yeah,
or speculated. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff about it. I just think that the presentation was a little off because, first of all, Keanu is very flat. He's flat in all of his movies. The best movies that he's in is when he plays a flat character and it fits his personality and it's perfect. Like John Wick and stuff like that. Neo, like if his personality and his acting style fits. For this one, I felt like they needed somebody a little bit more bombastic because this character Johnny was just kind of like meh. Like all this crazy stuff was happening to him and he's just like meh. Whoa. And
half of his brain's filled up with a bunch of stuff.
Dude, that made me laugh in the first 15, 20 minutes or so when he's like, I've got 80 gigs worth of space in my brain. I'm like, 80 gigs? Oh, you could download freaking Red Dead Redemption now.
We are much highly more advanced with our...
Yeah, I remember back when this movie came out, like you were lucky to get like a 5 gigabyte hard drive for your computer.
I think we were still using floppies.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
We were using like zip drives and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't quite the floppy era.
I just think it's funny to see how...
Diskettes.
Yeah, dial-up modems.
But there's like...
He probably doesn't remember
CDs.
That. I remember dial-up modems. That was the beginning.
Because you're like 12.
That was the beginning of my...
I remember in this movie, there's a little part where when they're getting ready to upload the data into Johnny's brain, they use like a little mini CD-ROM.
Yeah.
And they like put it on this little mini disc player. And I was like, oh, I remember those things.
It looked like what is it? Those little PS portable.
Yeah. They didn't last very long.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, but this was like a very futurist movie. So you have like these gangs in this movie called the Low Techs, and these are people who are like shunning technology. Then you have this like NAS epidemic that's causing people to get sick because of all the technology. Then you have these mega corporations, which are all based out of China, ironically enough, that are like looking to kind of like they found a cure for this NAS disease, but they're trying to keep it secret so that they can make money off the treatment as opposed to curing the disease.
Wow, that's a shocking.
Yeah, really? Wow, what an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the bulk of this movie takes place in Newark, New Jersey.
I love it.
So like it starts off in Beijing, where Johnny meets up with these guys who want him to courier this information to Newark. And then the rest of the movie takes place in New Jersey.
Jude, what were your initial thoughts when you watched? Is this the first time you've seen this?
This is the first time I've seen
Okay.
this.
What were your initial thoughts when you were watching it?
I thought it looked ugly and it was not interesting. Like I thought maybe the story was kind of had some potential, but like, I don't know, like 10 minutes in, I was like, how long is this movie?
Yeah. Let's talk about the ugly aspect to it, because with the people who were like shunning technology, they were wearing like this.
Led by Ice-T.
Yeah, I was just going to say the best part of this movie is Ice-T.
Yeah, led by Ice-T with like some crazy face paint and like dreadlocks and these giant snow goggles on his head. I was just like, what is this? Like,
That's heavily influenced by the whole cyberpunk.
is it? Okay. Yeah, I was watching it and I'm like, this just seems impractical. That's the other thing too.
I felt like they had the cyberpunk book that I keep talking about,
Yeah.
like in the set when they were.
Like he gave it to the costume designers
Yes.
and said like, make this
Well,
come to
I
life.
think the guy who created Cyberpunk 2077 was part of like that William Gibson kind of science fiction crew that birthed this genre. So there's like a lot of cross pollination here. And
That Cyberpunk 2077 is just a extended version of the role playing game.
I know, but the guy who created the role playing game is
Yeah.
what I'm saying. He was part of like this. There was like a small group of science fiction authors who kind of revolved around William Gibson, and they were the ones who created cyberpunk and then went on to popularize steampunk.
Yeah.
The genres. So like it's kind of funny like watching this movie, because if you're familiar with William Gibson's work, like the ugly aspect of it is very intentional.
Okay.
It's meant to have these like heavy Asian influence, but also meant to be kind of dark, depressive, and dystopian.
When you say steampunk, usually first thing that comes to my head is like the Victorian era futuristic stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's steampunk to me.
that's steampunk.
This looked like
This isn't steampunk.
This looked like Zoolander's derelict line came to life and like was dancing around.
No, like they went on to popularize steampunk. It was kind of a dead genre, but like these guys who created cyberpunk went on to do stuff in that genre that kind of kickstarted it again.
Okay.
This movie's squarely in the cyberpunk realm.
Yeah, it's all
Nothing
related.
to do with steampunk.
I didn't.
I mean, there's like Blade Runner inspirations and stuff in here, and all kinds of stuff.
Blade Runner was nicer to look at though. This was like rough.
Well, Blade Runner took a lot of its art style from Gibson's imagery in his books. Like he was kind of like the forefather of like, this is cyberspace and this is how these cities operate and this is how consumerism
It's like
has dominated
what's that
everything.
movie? Came out Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Very.
They even
That's cyberpunk.
They even
That's
said
very
that line
cyberpunk,
in the movie, right? They said something about a ghost in the shell or a ghost in the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell, Akira, like a bunch of Japanese stuff was heavily influenced by William Gibson, and I think a little bit vice versa. But Gibson was doing all this stuff in the like late 70s, early 80s,
Right.
And so like this was like way before like the Al Gore invented the internet and stuff like that. Like a lot of his stuff was influential in the development of this technology. And it just kind of became part of the lexicon, like stuff like cyberspace and things.
Well, I'll say one of the things that I thought was the coolest aspect of this movie is when Keanu Reeves jumped into the cyberspace thing with his VR helmet and his gloves.
You mean the iPhone?
Yeah, the iPhone. Yeah,
But
and he was
funny.
like sitting there typing away, and when the camera's looking at him, he's just typing at nothing. But then it flashes over to what he sees.
It's basically an Oculus Rift.
Yeah, it's an Oculus Rift. I thought that was really cool. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That's like, they saw this coming.
It is funny because like when they go to that storage room in order to get the equipment for him to enter cyberspace, they say like, oh, we got boxes of Thompson iPhones here. And I turned to Judah. I was like, did he predict an iPhone? But
I said the exact same
It turned
thing.
out
It's
it's EYE, iPhone. It's
like
the
a
thing
literal eye.
It's the thing he puts over his eyes.
Yeah. That's funny though. That's cool. Yeah. It's really cool to see these things in the movie. But again, I think we're all in pretty much agreement that just something about it just seems off. Like it doesn't come off well.
Oh,
on
it's not a
screen.
good movie at all.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
just
not.
so disappointed that this is one of the movies we picked for Keanu Reeves. I'm like legit bummed out.
You got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, it's got to be a full spectrum. I mean, we did First Night for Sean Connery in his honor of his death.
And that movie was bullshit.
You know what?
It was terrible.
You know, though, it's kind of interesting to see like Keanu's choices in the 90s because he went from, Point Break to Speed. And I think he shot this movie before Speed, actually. But like this was kind of a precursor to his role in The Matrix. I think the Wachowskis looked at this and like, okay, yeah, I could see Keanu doing this.
He felt like Neo in this movie, like a precursor to Neo. And then I totally saw all the connections to like, oh, that's straight out of The Matrix. And now the whole jacking in and everything.
And now he's part of the Cyberpunk 2077 video game.
Yeah.
So like he kind of has this track record of going for these cyberpunky, futuristic films.
Yeah, good for him, but I don't want to watch it.
But it is kind of interesting, like, in the movie, his handler, this guy, Rafi.
I don't remember.
It's played by Udo Kier, who was one of the bad guys in Blade.
He's like the bad guy in everything.
Yeah, he's never played a good guy.
He's one of those evil looking German guys.
Yeah.
He just fits into every villain role. But he's got like a transvestite or a transsexual bodyguard.
Oh yeah,
and then he's got another bodyguard. I think her name's Pretty.
Yeah.
And she's like this like blonde lady with way too much face makeup.
Oh yeah. Oh, the makeup and
that's what I'm talking about. Everything is ugly.
Yeah, everything was way over the top.
Intentionally ugly.
It looked like 80s almost, like 80s over the top. Yeah, but this was in the 90s though. This was it was made in the 90s and it was supposed to be representing the future and they have him looking like.
But the story was written in the 80s.
80s drag. It was super weird. I didn't like
Dina Meyer's character, she was Dizzy from
Dizzy from Starship Troopers.
And she played a character named Jane, but originally the character, at least in the short story, was named Molly Millions, and she was a very central character to Gibson's Neuromancer trilogy.
You seem to know a lot about this.
Well, I'm a science fiction author.
Okay.
We're in his zone.
This is his zone right now. Yeah.
So basically, the Molly Millions character the rights to that character were tied up for the Neuromancer movie at the time. So they couldn't use that character. So they just renamed the character as Jane. But if Dina Meyer's, had actually been able to play that character, she might have, like if the Neuromancer movie ever gets made, she might have been able to kind of.
I liked seeing her again. It was cool because the only movie I've ever seen her in is Starship Troopers.
How about Henry Rollins in this movie?
That was
cool. And there was a scene. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off on that, but there was a scene where Dizzy. I always see her as Dizzy.
I said the same thing. I was like, "Is that Dizzy?"
It's Dizzy.
Yeah.
At the more towards the end of the movie where she was just wearing straight chainmail.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on here? Why are we
no bra,
no nothing, just chainmail? And I'm like,
you don't need bras in the future.
Yeah,
next month.
Yeah.
I haven't worn a bra in 6 months.
I have to say, I'm the oldest one at this table. Okay. And I am getting really tired of watching old movies set in the future that has already come to pass. Okay, it's very disappointing.
You mean like Escape from New York?
Or
future of
every movie that was made in the 1980s and early 90s, like in the far future of 2015. It's like, God darn it, man!
Like it's funny too because like modern,
it's like even like Back to the Future, it's gone.
It's way past.
It's just
it's weird, huh?
It's weird.
Yeah, no flying cars. I feel gypped.
Very disappointed.
Yep. Yeah, I feel it, man. The only thing I'm not disappointed about is if this future that we see, the wardrobes haven't come true, which is I'm happy about that.
Wow. Have you walked around on the strip lately?
No, I haven't. Is it pretty bad?
It's pretty bad.
I think you just jinxed everything.
Yeah, right. We're gonna start wearing like dirty clothes, and everybody's gonna have.
Except for some reason, instead of like shoulder pads and
grommets,
curtains and stuff, people are wearing like the tightest clothes they can find possible.
Like spandex.
Yeah.
It's comfy.
Dude, there are people down there that have no shame.
You got to be able to like move around in case shit goes down.
It's just like
you don't want somebody to be able to like grab a hold of your curtain rod.
I don't know this because I was thinking about I was going to say you got to be ready to riot at any moment, right?
Yeah.
There was a scene at the very beginning of this movie where people were rioting and they were all wearing masks like the M95 and I was like, oh no,
it's coming true.
It's coming true. Yeah. It freaked me out a little bit. Some of this stuff does freak you out.
Yeah, but this is basically like a chase movie where the Japanese Yakuza who are in conjunction with the Chinese corporations are trying to hunt down Johnny to keep the information in his head from getting out publicly. And our main kind of like bad guy is named Shinji, and he's got like this fake thumb because he had to cut off his thumb for like some type of honor thing.
That's a Yakuza thing.
And he's got this microfilament like charged fiber that can cut through anything.
Oh, that thing was badass.
Yeah. And so like the entire time, like this guy is the one who's trying to hunt down Johnny, and Johnny ends up hiring Jane to kind of be his bodyguard. And the entire movie, he's trying to get this thing out of his head because the people he was supposed to unload this information to in Newark,
They just want to cut his head off.
yeah,
Yeah, cut his head off and take the data.
yeah, and they need like this special visual code in order to unlock the data in order to download it, but the code got destroyed back when he was in Beijing, so he's trying to find a way to recover this code in order to get it out of his head, because the longer he uploaded like twice the amount of
He
data.
uploaded like 300.
Yeah,
he was
he
only
had-
supposed to upload.
80. So his capacity for his upload enhancement was 80 gigs, and he
Well,
uploaded
no.
300 gigs.
He got some type of like expansion, so he could upload up to 100 and I want to say like 30 gigs.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
he got a portable DVD player that you plug into your lighter in your car if you have like a 1995 Ford Focus.
Yeah.
I think he had 150.
something. I don't know. It was like an absurdly small amount.
But they put in 300.
Yeah.
And so because of this like overcapacity of information in his brain is starting to break down. And so in order to save his life, he needs to get rid of it. And he does that through like a very big, long, convoluted series of events that leads him to a psychic dolphin.
This broke me. I saw this and I was
And
like,
the crazy thing is this is directly from the short story.
yeah. I mean, it's funny because on paper, you're like, dolphins are extremely intelligent. Some scientists even say they're more intelligent than primates. So it's like, okay, you can see that this animal might have some natural acuity to being able to like solve puzzles or whatever. And I'm just like, it's a dolphin with a freaking radar dish on its
Some
head.
things don't translate very well from paper
So,
to
Yeah.
It was
screen.
Dolphin of Borg.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, yeah. Dolphin board.
So in the short story, the military developed these hyper intelligent dolphins in order to basically like hunt down submarines and stuff like that. And they controlled them by getting them addicted to heroin. And in the short story, this dolphin that helps out Johnny Mnemonic at the end, he agrees to help him in exchange for heroin. So Johnny basically gets like a bunch of heroin and gives it to this dolphin in order for him to unlock the code to download the information out of his brain and save his life.
And then later in the future, it ends up in the back of the Deep's van.
From the boys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff. All right. So real quick, let's talk about, since this is Keanu week, let's talk about Keanu's performance in this movie. Whoa. Like there was moments in this movie where I'm like, I can totally see this as being like Neo, like pre-Neo. But there was other moments where he was legit trying to be angry. Like his character was angry at somebody and it was just like, boo, just flatlined. And I'm like, man,
I'm so angry.
yeah, it was like, where's the range, man? Give me like everything said he was angry except for his voice.
Let's be fair.
What's up?
He was Keanu through the whole thing.
Yeah.
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 In every movie.
Yes, this is true. Sometimes it works.
Prenatal Neo. I like that.
It's funny. So like I saw this movie when it first came out in the theaters and I hadn't watched it again since, Jude and I sat down to watch it for this podcast. And the only thing I remembered from it was this one line of dialogue that when I was a teenager watching it in the movie theater, I thought was so stupid that it just stuck with me for 20 years. And I even told Jude, I was like, "What? Wait for this line. Wait for it." And it was the one where basically Johnny's having a meltdown under the bridge after their truck blows up.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "I want room service." And when it was about to happen, I pointed to Jude. I was like, "Wait for it. Wait for it." And it happened.
Oh, man.
And a fresh laundered shirt.
It's funny, dude.
I want
it's
a $10,000 a night hooker. Basically, Keanu Reeves just has this big meltdown monologue where like he's so sick of like having to rough it because he's this guy who's just used to like having like a lot of money and pampering himself, and he just like loses it in the beginning of the third act of the movie, and he just goes off, and it's the most emotion he shows the entire movie.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we all give Keanu Reeves a bad time for his acting.
We don't.
We don't. because he's literally the same dude in every single movie he plays in.
Yeah.
Every movie we watch today, it's just, kind of flat.
He's Keanu.
You know, it's just Keanu. And I think it's why we all like him, right?
It's weird because if it was another actor, we would be like, this is freaking trash.
But sucks.
But it's like, it's Keanu, man.
Right.
It is what it is. We love it. He's consistent. You know what you're going to get when you walk into it.
Cast in all these movies?
Yeah, he's kind of like Harrison Ford in the sense that every time you see him in a role, that's just him, the actor playing himself.
Yeah.
And it is consistent, but he's so likable.
Yeah, well, that's why. That's why we all like him.
Yeah.
There's one more, before we get to final thoughts, there's one more thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, and it's Dolph Lundgren in this movie.
Street Jesus.
What is going on with, I was like, for a good half the movie, I didn't think it was Dolph Lundgren. I was like, who is this guy? He looks just like Dolph Lundgren. I'm like, what is going on? Why is he like assassin Jesus?
I didn't know that was Dolph Lundgren.
That is Dolph Lundgren.
I thought that was that other guy.
He gets in a fight with Keanu, and through a series of events, he ends up in like being a charred,
freaking
electrocuted until he's just burnt crisp. And I'm like, oh my God, that was freaking Dolph Lundgren.
And they had this great fake out at the end where it looked like the charred husk of Street Jesus was about to get up and fight again.
Yeah.
And it turns out, no, they were just moving the body.
And they threw him into the river just unceremoniously, just like, get rid of this thing.
I remember when I saw this. So like this was kind of the last movie Dolph Lundgren did for like a long time because his career was in the toilet. And
why?
You know, when I saw him in this movie in the theater, I was like, oh my God, they really scraped the bottom of the barrel for this one. But watching it right now, I'm like, oh, cool, Dolph Lundgren. He's made a comeback.
It was cool to see him in it, but I just did not understand what this character was. I was so like, what are they trying to do here?
Like they needed more bad guys to hunt down Johnny. Like
why was he in a robe? Why was he Jesus?
Well, he was a street preacher, and he was a religious zealot. Like his knife was like a crucifix that had the point of it sharp.
It just seems like a very strange like concept to put on.
Listen, the future is a crazy place.
Yeah,
like I think at a certain point, like they were just trying to throw in as off the wall stuff as they can, and a lot of William Gibson's themes. It's very kind of the dangers of capitalism and the dangers of organized religion, but also the dangers of technology. Basically, I think he just wants us to live in a field somewhere.
Assassin Street Jesus, played by Dolph Lundgren.
I mean, the cornfields aren't safe either.
That's incredible.
And he ended up killing Henry Rollins through crucifixion.
That's crazy. All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, let's do final thoughts. Jude, you haven't really talked that much. What are your...
I don't wanna.
You don't like this movie? You were just like done with it from start to finish?
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
I'm just really bummed out that I had to watch it.
That's a shame. All right, Vader.
That's how
I'm
I feel.
sorry.
I still feel that way about Chopping Mall.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you.
What about Bad Taste, man? Come on, we've watched some stinkers.
What? I think I had that one blocked.
Oh, that's right. No, you didn't watch
He refused to watch it.
You only watched the first 20 minutes.
I watched 20 minutes and I said,
no.
F Kadish. I'm not watching this trash.
All right, so what did you think about Johnny Mnemonic?
I don't know what Johnny Neutron is. Isn't that a cartoon?
It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
What did you think about this movie, man?
I don't know.
It's tough to call, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. It wasn't Keanu at his best, that's for sure. I like the nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
I liked comparing what they thought 2021 was supposed to look like compared to what it is. You know, I always kind of enjoy that stuff. I like the cyberpunk elements. Like I said, it takes me back to my role-playing days in the game because there was a lot of that stuff in there.
Your LARPing days?
No, there was no LARPing. Well, that's not exactly true. But, that's a whole other genre.
I want to see this.
That's a whole other genre.
I need to hear this story.
I did it once. Okay,
He was young. He needed the money.
I went to one Vampire the Masquerade event.
Oh my God!
Okay, with my friends who were like, "Hey, dude, let's go check this thing out." But that's a story for another day.
Okay.
No, Johnny Mnemonic. I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's tough. But
at the same time, I had some nostalgia feels for it. And Ice-T's hair was amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah. Incredible. I'm pretty much going to echo what Vader said. I'm pretty much on the same line as you. But Kadish, what are your final thoughts? You seem to really have like a big grasp over this whole concept, and you seem to enjoy it.
Kadish is going to go on for about 45 minutes about why we're all too stupid to understand the genius behind this movie. And go.
I don't think this movie was genius. I remember I was really excited to see it in the theater when I was a teenager. And I remember being bored out of my head when I was watching it in the theater and just being like, oh my God, this movie's terrible.
I remember being bored out of my head when I watched it this week.
Yeah. Well, looking back on it, like it's kind of funny because my perspective has definitely shifted since my initial viewing. And this is like one of Dolph Lundgren's best performances. This is one of Ice-T's best performances. Like the story behind the making of this movie, where you had William Gibson and the director Longo kind of like get together, and it morphed from like this art house independent film into like this bloated big budget Hollywood bastardization of Gibson's work. Like Vader, I have like some nostalgic feels like rewatching this movie, because I remember in that time period in the 90s when CGI was kind of coming to prominence and the internet was becoming a thing. And there were all these movies that were coming out kind of based around that concept. And I was kind of in the middle of that because I was like a technophile. Like I loved technology.
So we're going to be able to talk to each other on TVs pretty soon.
Yeah. Dude, we could watch a video on the internet.
I know.
Like
now we have FaceTime and never use it.
Yeah.
So like there was like a lot of stuff that was just kind of coming to the forefront of society around this time. And these movies were kind of like a reflection of that. Mm-hmm. And, but in addition, it was also kind of the first actual Hollywood visualization of a William Gibson like story. And Neuromancer was kind of like on the horizon, and that was supposed to be like what The Matrix eventually became. So like that was kind of like in anticipation for that movie, the Neuromancer film. I was like super into this film, and then when I saw it, it was just such a disappointment. And I think that this movie actually probably did a lot to kill Neuromancer before it could get going. So overall, like, yeah, I agree with you guys. It's not a good movie. I'd probably give it 2 stars out of 5.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But for the most part, like,
that's right where I'm at too.
Like there are some nostalgic factors and some weird like predict the future factors that kind of make this movie a little bit more enjoyable than it used to be.
I'm not going to lie. If I had a chance to chop off an arm and get something cool put on there instead, I'd totally do it.
Yeah,
I would.
We're getting there.
We're almost there.
We're getting there pretty close. Yeah, we got people doing that right now.
It's like if I had an accident and had to have a Luke Skywalker hand,
they have those.
That would be too bad.
They have those now.
It was funny though, because I think in the short story, the amount of storage that Johnny had in his head was like 256 megabytes. And in the movie, they were like, "Oh, that's nothing."
Our podcast takes up more space than that.
Yeah, we have to jack it up to like.
I got to get a way better
like 80 gigs.
hard drive than that.
All right, guys, that's it for Johnny Mnemonic. Whatever, doesn't matter. Anyway, it's available. It's out there. It's worth.
We're putting a poll out.
It's worth. It's worth.
I'm going to put it in Youglish right now.
I do think Jude had a point where the fact that you can't pronounce this title
does ruin it.
Probably has William Gibson has terrible titles for his stuff other than Neuromancer. I think that definitely hurt the movie because people are like, "Oh, did you see that Johnny Mnemonic movie?"
What else? What would you title it? I would just title it Cyberpunk or something like that. Cyberpunk 2021. We got to
call it Newark. one night in Newark.
All right, guys, that's it for that movie. Before we move on to the next one, let's hear a quick word from some sponsors.
Wrap up the year with holiday cheer at the all-new Busch Gardens Christmas celebration. Experience a winter wonderland as you walk through 8 festive villages with twinkling lights, holiday decor, and entertainment. Busch Gardens Christmas celebration is a limited capacity event. Select dates through January 3rd. Take advantage of the biggest sale of the year, going on now through November 27th. Buy 1 2-park membership, get 1 half off during the Black Friday sale. Make your reservation today. Restrictions apply.
Present you is burnt out at your current job. But future you works at Geico. And future you is also a beekeeper.
Me? I don't even go outside.
Well, with Geico, you got a consistent schedule. So you are now one with nature, my friend.
So I've become a bee person?
Technically an apiarist. And yes, you also got a competitive salary, so you had the funds to start a new hobby.
All right. Give me that honey.
Virginia Beach. Start your future at Geico. We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.jobs/Virginia Beach.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hey, just a reminder, if you would like to get this podcast ad-free and also get a bunch of other cool stuff like bloopers and behind the scenes, you can go to saltynerdclub.com, join the club, become a patron, help support the podcast, and we really appreciate it. Our goal is to get to 1,000 Patreon subscribers so that we can put out some more content for you guys, because the more support we get from you, the more chances we'll be able to put out some extra content and have some fun and grow the podcast and grow the brand. So consider helping us out. Go to saltynerdclub.com and join the Salty Club. All right, next on our list for movies is, or for Keanu Reeves movies, is 47 Ronin. And I freaking loved,
of course, you did,
this movie.
Wow.
It was so much fun. Jude, why don't you tell me what this movie's all about?
Okay, so
She's like, all right.
Don't be so.
If I have to.
Don't be so enthusiastic, Jude.
sorry. Okay. 2013's 47 Ronin. So the Revenge of the 47 Ronin, also known as the Eiko Incident or Eiko Vendetta, is an 18th century historical event in Japan in which a band of Ronin avenged the death of their master. And the incident has since become legendary.
Yeah.
So this movie, starring Keanu Reeves, was budgeted for $175 million.
Wow.
What do you think it made?
400 million worldwide.
What?
I don't know.
Vader.
You're not even trying.
No, I'm not. Go
What was the
ahead.
budget?
200, 150, right? What'd you say?
175. You guys don't
175.
even listen to me.
175.
175.
280.
280.
38.
No way.
No. Worldwide, it was 151.
That's got to be domestic.
Domestic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah.
38 million domestic?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is like to me, this type of movie should be counted worldwide because the U.S. audience isn't exactly the main draw.
Let me look up.
Well, he just told us. How much did it make
what
worldwide?
was it?
It was 151 million worldwide.
150. So it didn't even
So
make its
it
money
still
back?
didn't make it.
But,
Yeah.
but here's the thing, though. Okay, so that budget figure,
Mm-hmm.
because of all like the reshoots and special effects that they had to go back and redo for this movie, it's estimated that this
Like
movie
the spider jizz.
it's estimated that this movie actually cost $225 million.
Oh my God.
And Universal needed to make at least $500 million just to break even on it. And so this was considered one of the biggest flops of 2014, I think. And it cost Universal to actually end the year in the red because it lost them so much money.
That's so sad. I love this movie. It was so beautiful and so much fun. And the story was like awesome. Like it's a classic story, right? We've seen it a million times. And
have we?
Yeah. It's the 47 Ronin. That's been redone a million times. Ronin,
Tale as old as time.
the masterless samurai goes on a revenge quest to avenge his master.
This is the only American version of that story. The other versions of it have only been done in Japan. And
well, I watch foreign films.
yeah, name one.
47 Ronin.
Well played, Mr. Nerd.
Anyway, I don't remember. Everything about this. I thought the costumes were beautiful. I love this era in Japanese history. I love the stories. I thought the characters all worked really well. Keanu as like the slave half-breed who nobody, respected, who eventually grew to become the hero of the 47 Ronin. I was just like, this is freaking awesome. I thought it worked really well. And I thought the CGI looked great for the time. The monsters that they were fighting looked pretty freaking cool.
For the time. This was 2013.
Yeah. That's almost like 5-6 years ago, Jude. Whoa. In CGI land, that's like a decade.
That is a long time. in tech years.
In tech years, yeah, that's a long time ago. I don't know. There wasn't anything I didn't like about this movie. I followed it all the way through. I didn't think it was confusing at all. I can't say it enough how much I love the costumes in this movie, the armor and the dresses that the maidens were wearing. I was like, this is freaking awesome, man.
Too bad the story wasn't as good as the costume.
Yeah, I totally disagree with you.
What? Why?
Well, I think that I was very frustrated because it had so much potential to be really great and beautiful and really magical, and it just fell short. I felt like nothing was fleshed out enough for me to really get into it. It was beautiful, and that was it. And I kept having a hard time following who was who and who is that the same girl? No, that's a different girl. Okay, but who's that? Oh, it doesn't matter now, I guess. And it wasn't interesting to me.
Oh, I completely disagree.
I
But that's
wanted
all
to
right.
be into it way more than I was, and I ended up just being really frustrated with it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think I'm somewhere in the middle, you guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what did you think about this movie?
I liked, like you said, it was visually it was fun. It was pretty. Costumes were good. The CGI was good and all that kind of stuff. But the story was kind of
Meh.
meh.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was great. I don't know. I just because it wasn't like overly complicated. I felt like it was fairly
No.
simple. Revenge.
Well, you know how we've
Yeah.
talked in the past about how, like, when you watch something as a child and you like it because kids are dumb.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
you.
that was a low blow, dude. That's terrible.
It's me too. I don't think this is a great movie, but I've seen it a dozen times.
Well,
Just because it's pretty. I enjoy
Yeah.
these kind of movies. This is a movie that I would go to the theater to watch.
yeah, totally. And
So-
I like that. Kadish, what did you think about this movie?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. So the actual story of the 47 Ronin is so naturally full of like drama and crazy characters and betrayal. Like it's basically the Japanese Game of Thrones
Yeah.
type thing. And the director of this movie, Carl Rinch, he originally wanted it to be kind of like more of an art house samurai movie where it was more grounded in reality. And Universal wanted a Lord of the Rings type fantasy epic. And so like they kind of forced in this idea that instead of taking the actual story and retelling it for American audiences, they were going to basically add in witches and wizards and dragons and monsters and stuff like that. And every time one of these fantasy elements came into the movie, I was just so taken out of it because I felt like it didn't fit. And I would have much rather have seen like a more kind of grounded, like this is like a historically accurate depiction of
I
what
think
happened.
anybody who watches this movie with that stuff taking them out is watching a movie they didn't think they were going to watch.
Yeah, I was actually
mean,
surprised it was a fantasy movie.
This is a straight up fantasy movie. And anybody that went and watched this in the theaters at the time knew that going in. Because everything in the marketing for this movie was CGI dragons and monsters and sword fights.
But I didn't feel like they were used very well. Like
I think-
I didn't like any of the special effects in this movie. I didn't like any of the monsters. I found that like
Disagree.
the witch was very cringy. The thing I hated most about this, so like there's this big super samurai golem that's like in this movie, and they really build him up to be like this real badass where, like he's like the mountain for samurai.
Pretty much.
And he's got like this really awesome armor. And in the climax of the movie, during the final battle, he's like marching towards all the Ronin, and it looks like shit's going to go down. And then like a bomb just blows up and kills him. And you're just like, wait, what? That's it?
Yeah, I'll give you that one. That's fair.
But I mean, like even like the weird, snake people that raised Keanu Reeves.
No, they were bird people, eagles.
Whatever they
Who
were.
even knows?
Yeah.
I knew immediately. They had like very hawk-looking faces.
I didn't know anyone's name in
thought
this
they were
movie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that might be just an American thing
I was
because all
like-
the names were very Japanese, so I didn't really try to keep track of that either.
I was like, is that the name of the village? Or is that someone's name?
I just went off of the actor.
Yeah,
like if I could follow which actors
but-
were which, I was good.
It's funny because Hiroyuki Sanada, who played like the main Ronin in this movie.
Yeah.
And we've seen him as Musashi in Westworld, and like he's been in like a lot of stuff. He's probably the most recognizable Asian actor in this movie.
I thought the emperor guy was a recognizable face.
Oh yeah, because he was Shao Kahn.
Yeah, exactly.
from Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. And then the main like bad prince dude that took
Wait,
over.
what?
The emperor, the main emperor.
Well, no, the Shogun guy who was the one who was ordering everyone to kill themselves was played by Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa.
We're so sorry, people.
Yeah, I'm sorry for butchering it.
We are
says
so
that-
white.
He says that better than most normal names.
Yeah,
So-
for
Yeah, but he played Shao Kahn in the Mortal Kombat movie, and he's basically like he's been in so many, like he was in Red Sun with Wesley Snipes, and
He's your soul is mine.
Yes, that
Yes,
guy.
that guy.
That's the Shogun.
yeah, that's the Shogun.
Yeah. You didn't notice that?
Mine just blew up.
I picked that up right away.
Yeah.
But it was funny because Oishi, who was Hiroyuki's character, like Jude and I kept thinking that he was the Lord's son, but he actually wasn't.
No.
He was just like one of his bodyguards.
He was the captain of his shogun.
But we kept thinking like, is that it? Where's the guy's son? like we were so confused over like who everyone was in this movie.
Yeah.
I was never confused about who was what.
Yeah.
That wasn't hard for me to follow at all.
And to speak of the fantasy thing, I just wanted to kind of reply to that. I felt like the fantasy element was peppered in just enough where it wasn't overused. Like I love like it opens up with this cool fight and they're fighting some kind of crazy dragon like.
Well, they set that up right at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Japan is this mythical kind of strange,
and
magical place to the Far East that nobody knows anything about from the West. And,
I love that aspect to it, and I think it was used great because it was like here was little elements of it here, and then we see Keanu Reeves fighting some like giant troll thing on the pirate island or whatever. I'm like, this is cool stuff, man. I love that.
I don't know for sure, but I think most of those elements were taken out of Japanese lore, and stories and stuff.
Probably.
Too, so.
I like the whole idea that like Keanu Reeves was this like mythical creature who refused his calling to be like a warlock or a witch or whatever and like went off to live with the humans. And he's always had this tie to the mythical side of things. And that's what gives him like this supernatural ability to like fight really well and be super skilled. And I don't know, his character was very humble and he always, he treated everybody with respect. And eventually that came at the end of the movie, it paid off where people paid him respect because of how good of a person he was.
Even though everybody treated him like crap.
Yeah. By the end of the movie,
everybody half-breed.
By the end of the movie, everybody agreed that he was like, he's an honorable hero samurai. And I was just like, that's freaking awesome, man. I love that kind of stuff.
Can I just give a rundown of what the overall story is?
Sure, go ahead.
For this movie in case anyone needs the stage set. So basically, Keanu Reeves, he plays this, half Asian, half white character named Kai, who's found running out of the forest when he's a kid. He's basically adopted by Lord Asano, who finds him in the forest, and he's kind of taken in by his household, and he runs this little kingdom of Eiko. Keanu Reeves grows up. He's like, still kind of
slave.
Ostracized.
Yeah,
but he's got kind of like this love story going on with the Lord's daughter. And it turns out that he's actually like a very skilled warrior, but like he's never allowed to kind of show off his skills because the samurai that serve his master are kind of like suspicious of him and don't treat him very well. Anyway, so the shogun is coming to visit his kingdom, and they're going to put on a kind of tournament in the shogun's honor. And a rival lord from a neighboring kingdom comes in and
sabotage it.
Yeah, and basically, he is like he has the help of a witch, and this guy, the bad guy's name is Kira, Lord Kira, and so he uses his witch to kind of like trick the Lord of Eiko, Lord Asano, to attack him, and because he was like under like bewitchment, he didn't know what he was doing. And the dishonor of attacking a guest in your kingdom necessitated that the shogun order him to commit suicide, seppuku, ritual suicide. And so once the Lord does this in order to regain the honor of his house, basically all 47 or all of his Ronin, or all of his samurai, I should say, hundreds of them are now masterless, and they're disgraced by being Ronin. And the shogun gives the daughter a year to grieve for her father, and then she's to marry Lord Kira, and Kira is going to take over her father's kingdom. And so the samurai, over the course of a year, kind of like go into hiding. And the main guy, Oishi, he's put in a prison pit.
The pit of despair.
and during that year that he's just in a pit not doing anything, he plots his revenge.
Yes.
So when he comes out, he finds Kai, because Kai was trying to warn them about a witch and they didn't believe him. So he recruits Kai, and then he recruits 47 other...
Only demons can see witches.
Yeah.
Are you a demon?
He recruits 47 of his former samurai companions to enact revenge. And so they go on this quest to get swords, and they get magic swords from the forest owl creatures.
Yeah, that was a cool thing. I like that. It was like the trial of the wills or whatever. Yeah. It was cool.
And then they go and they attack Kira's kingdom. They save their master's former daughter. and they get revenge by killing the people who led to their master's demise. And then they turn themselves into the Shogun, and the Shogun's like, well,
you have to die.
Yeah, you all have to kill yourselves.
Yeah. It was kind of
it's very Japanese.
Yeah, from an American perspective, I'm like, man, that ending sucked. But then I have to remember, like, this is like the most honor you could do for a samurai.
That was the actual ending in actual like history, because basically the emperor, when he was presented with this issue where the samurai went against his orders to not get revenge, but they also honored their master by doing so. So it was like a weird catch-22. And he was like, well, by all rights, you should die, but I'm going to let you die like samurai.
Yeah.
So everyone's happy.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
And it was kind of funny because when the Shogun at the end of this movie was like, I will be merciful and let you commit seppuku. And I just kind of laughed at that. I was like, gee, thanks, pal. That's a great way to go.
That's just the...
I can disembowel myself publicly now. That's great.
That's just a cultural difference.
Thumbs up.
I will admit I was a little bummed out at that ending, but that's just the American version, or the American in me. I'm like, man, that I would be bummed out, but I understand that historically, from their perspective, that would be the honorable thing to do. So
yeah, but
all right, I guess
the story behind this movie is actually kind of interesting, because the guy who directed it, Carl Rinch, so he had done like commercials and stuff like that beforehand, but this was like his first like major Hollywood feature film. And they really threw him into the deep end with this one. Like, your first film being like almost $200 million.
And a foreign film at that. You have to,
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't it filmed all in Japanese first?
They did a lot like what Norsemen did, where they would film it in Japanese first in like the native language. So like all the Japanese the people who spoke Japanese as like extras and stuff like that would know what the lines were. And then they would shoot the same scene in English. In pre-production, when he came on board this film, he was very kind of decisive. He was very creative. A lot of people were like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. But then as soon as it got to the production and post-production phase, it became clear he was in over his head. And they had like a lot of issues with this movie, to the point where the studio was stepping in. They were rewriting the script as it was going. And when they got into the editing room, they actually had to kick the director out and take over the movie, because he basically didn't know what he was doing. And to give you an idea of, kind of like the incompetence that was on play. So Keanu Reeves is the star of this movie, right? We all agree on that?
Yeah.
All right. He was not in the final battle of the movie originally. Like, it was basically just the Ronin, who went and attacked Lord Kira's castle.
Yeah.
And they actually had to go back and reshoot all of Keanu Reeves' scenes for that final movie, because he was just left out.
Is that why he was by himself the whole time?
Pretty much. They added the whole love story with him in reshoots between him and the princess.
Oh, they did.
I didn't need that.
Oh, I thought they did fine with that, because it was set up from the very beginning that she was the one.
Well, that was originally not in the movie.
Oh, okay.
They had to go back and add all that stuff in.
Huh.
And basically they had to go back and add in like a lot of close-ups of Keanu doing stuff, because
so basically everything that Keanu did in this movie is a reshoot.
Almost.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And the reshoots for this stuff, because Keanu was doing another movie at the time, and like they had to wait for him to get done in order to do these reshoots. So the movie got pushed back, and that's why the budget ballooned up to like $225 million reportedly, is because, basically this director didn't get all the Keanu stuff that he needed to make this movie work.
Got to get that blue steel.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do some final thoughts. I'll say one thing. My favorite scene in the entire movie was the attack on the castle during the play. That was so freaking cool to me. The synchronized like assassination of all the guards, and they all took over so that nobody noticed, and they were getting prepped and ready to assassinate the main bad guy. I'm like, that whole sequence of events and how it was shot and how it played out, I'm like, this is freaking, it was so much fun. I had a ton of fun with this movie, and I don't understand why people don't like it, because for me, it's like right up my alley. I'm like, this is like feudal Japan with all the crazy freaking, fantasy elements added to it.
You're very much the outlier in your taste.
I freaking love it. I loved it, dude.
Like you love Sahara.
I do.
Sahara's not bad.
You don't like Goonies.
Oh my God.
Monster Squad.
Didn't you talk to him about getting a different argument?
I tried.
I'm just saying your tastes are very outside the mainstream, Alex.
I think it's safe to say we all like movies that the rest of us don't.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my final thought. I think it's well worth a watch, especially if you like the feudal Japan style movies. Again, the costumes were just phenomenal. I thought it was so beautiful to look at, and I really enjoyed the story. So I would highly suggest, if you're into that kind of thing, go watch this movie. I think it's well worth it. But Vader, what did you think?
I'm kind of with you. I think it's a really fun movie. It's pretty to look at. The story's it's okay. It's not that great, but it was visually it's fun, and those are the kind of movies I like. I like my eyes to be entertained, and they were entertained in this movie. I'm not looking for a big, deep, story. This is a love story and with a revenge
element to it.
Yeah. So just give me some sword fights, give me some monsters, some owl, eagle, snake, demons in the woods, some pirate fights. I'm good. It's fine.
I thought,
it's not highbrow cinema by any means, but I would have easily spent the movie ticket to go watch this. I think I did. I don't remember, but whatever.
I'd definitely rent it again for sure.
Yeah.
I'd watch it. If we got like a group together and we wanted to watch some fantasy movie, I'd watch this movie. Jude.
All your friends would leave.
Yeah. You guys would leave.
I'll stay.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. Jude, what did you think about this movie? Give us some final thoughts.
I feel like Vader has betrayed me, and I want him to seppuku himself.
Ritual suicide.
Whatever, chopping mall.
Rip your shirt off.
I don't know. I just found it very disappointing and frustrating, and I didn't care for it. I'll never watch it again. I won't recommend it.
Oh, that's sad. It makes me sad to hear you say that.
I'm sorry I'm such a Mr. Poopy Pants today.
That's all right. Kadish, final thoughts on this movie, and would you recommend it?
I would not recommend it. I found the script to be very poorly done. I didn't like any of the acting. I feel like if you had gotten a director like Ridley Scott to come in and do this movie, it might have been good. But the fact that, you had a first-time director who was clearly in over his head, I think it affected the movie. And it kind of reminds me of another movie that came out around this time with Matt Damon called The Great Wall with
that was terrible.
Pedro Pascal and stuff like that.
Awful.
It's very similar in the sense that it takes kind of like historical stuff and mixes it with fantasy. And I feel like both of those movies just didn't work for me. But I actually thought that The Great Wall was better than this movie.
What?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
You're crazy.
You're irrelevant.
I just felt like it was a better written movie. But regardless, neither movie was good, in my opinion.
He's gnashing his teeth over here.
I can't even finish The Great Wall. I've never finished that movie.
But, getting back to my take on this movie, overall, I just felt very meh. Like I didn't feel like the acting stood out. I didn't think the special effects were all that good. I felt the story was a mess. I'd give it like a good 2 stars out of 5. I think it's not a 1-star movie by any means, but a part of me, I'm like, I just wish that they had just told the story straight up, like an Akira Kurosawa film or something like that.
Then go watch Akira Kurosawa.
As opposed
he
to,
thought he was.
Yeah, as opposed to this like bastardization of Lord of the Rings and actual history.
That's what it was marketed as.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd never I thought this was a Netflix original actually because I'd never seen it in the theaters. I'd never seen it advertised.
Oh no, I knew when this came out.
I knew exactly when I saw this movie.
Like he said earlier, the advertisements, every trailer had all the monsters in it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that's that cool factor for me. I was
I don't want to go watch this fantasy movie with
I guess
fantasy shit.
I came to this cold. Like I didn't expect it to be like once the opening crawl said it was a time of witches and monsters, I was like, oh, okay.
But that was like the
that's the hook, man.
That's the hook.
But I don't even feel like they did it very well. They didn't establish a whole lot of stuff very well.
Yeah, I disagree too. But that's all right.
I find you meh.
The table is split on the Salty Nerd podcast. All right, guys, that's it for 47 Ronin. Before we move on to our next topic, let's hear a quick word from some sponsors.
Present you is burnt out at your current job. But future you works at Geico. And future you is also a beekeeper.
Me? I don't even go outside.
Well, with Geico, you got a consistent schedule. So you are now one with nature, my friend.
So I've become a bee person?
Technically an apiarist. And yes, you also got a competitive salary, so you had the funds to start a new hobby.
All right. Give me that honey.
Virginia Beach. Start your future at Geico. We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.jobs/Virginia Beach.
Let's say Direct Auto could make your auto insurance needs much simpler. Like with friendly local agents who want to help you get insurance no matter what. Is that enough to get you to ask for a free quote? Or are you one of those people who need comedy to convince you? We could put in a laugh track. Or we just stick to having the friendliest, most helpful agents this side of the Mississippi. Or whichever side of the Mississippi fits you best. Call, click, or come by Direct Auto for a free quote and keep driving.
Rate savings vary. Terms apply. How you buy can affect price. By insurers from the National General Group, Winston NC.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, real quick, if you guys would like to support the podcast and get some cool merch in return, go to saltynerdstore.com. There we have all of our t-shirt designs. You can get hoodies, you can get stickers and magnets and face masks and all kinds of cool stuff. So go there, check it out. Any money that we get from the store goes directly back into the podcast so we can buy some new equipment or get ourselves going on some live YouTube videos and stuff like that. So consider helping us out and get something really awesome in return. That's saltynerdstore.com.
And send us some pictures of you with the swag.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, we'd love that.
Yeah, hit us up on Twitter or Instagram. Hashtag us.
Salty Nerd Show.
Tag us. I don't follow hashtags, so just tag me, Salty Nerd.
Well, you're not the only one that's out there.
All right, sorry, dude. Yeah.
And if you guys don't have the money to spend, you can always help us out by sharing our podcast around to your friends, leaving us reviews, stuff like that. Those go a long way to supporting the podcast.
Yes, for sure. 5-star review would be much appreciated. All right, guys. The last movie on our Keanu Reeves list today is Speed.
The best.
1994.
Go ahead, Jude. Take it away.
All right. So there's a bomb on a bus.
That's it. That's the plot.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
All right. There's a bomb on a bus put there by a madman. And Jack Traven? Traven and a wildcat named Annie gotta keep the bus above 50 miles an hour or it will explode.
The cop who plays by his own rules.
Yeah.
Jack Traven.
So the budget for this was $30 million. I will give you domestic and then you can guess worldwide.
Okay.
Domestic, it made $121 million.
God.
What do you think it made worldwide?
178 million.
Vader?
I don't know, 280.
350.
Damn.
Uh-huh.
This is a
blockbuster.
This is a big movie.
Why?
I really don't like your attitude right now.
Dude, I'm going to dump the salt on this freaking movie.
How you can like 47 Ronin but not like Speed is beyond me.
I did not. Okay, my suspension of disbelief went out the freaking window. And I never recovered.
When the dragons and trolls showed up?
No. I knew what I was getting into. I was getting into.
When all those people in the elevator survived?
That and the whole like...
When the bus jumped the freeway?
Hold on. In the first 10 minutes, we've got freaking Dumb and Dumber Harry and Keanu Reeves. I cannot see that guy without seeing Dumb and Dumber, especially in this movie. I was like, he was borderline freaking Harry.
Daniels.
Jeff Daniels.
You were already out of order.
Anyway, so the elevator, it's established that the elevator's on like the 33rd floor. And after it fell, after the wires were cut, it stopped on like the 34 or 38 floor or whatever. But the building is like 50 stories, like 48 stories high. So they went down into the elevator thing and they were like, we have 6 minutes to defuse the bomb or get this guy his money or he's going to kill everybody. So in 6 minutes, they climbed their butts through the elevator shaft all the way up to the top, took a crane from the window washing, rolled the freaking crane wire all the way down to the 33rd floor.
I need to stop you right now.
Dude.
I need to stop you right now because here's the thing. Nobody gives a shit.
I do.
Okay.
I was watching this.
Seriously need to extend, what's the word?
Suspend your
disbelief.
I couldn't. This isn't a fantasy movie.
Because if you can't do that with these kind of stupid car chase movies, you're never going to be able to enjoy this kind of a movie.
You're not ever going to be invited to a heist if you can't get on board with this.
I was watching. I'm like, this is impossible. Nothing about what I'm seeing right now.
Nothing in this movie
is remotely possible. I am. That's true. I don't know. I couldn't, like, once my suspension of disbelief was broken at that point, I never recovered the rest of the movie.
Well, aren't you a delicate snowflake that gets broken easily?
90% of the shit we watch from Hollywood is impossible.
It's okay. Well, they didn't work very hard to
The
try to
Rock
convince
jumping
you.
from skyscraper to skyscraper.
I don't like the Fast and Furious either. I don't like that stuff either.
No, I wasn't even talking about that.
Yeah, he was talking about Skyscraper.
Okay.
Skyscraper?
There's nothing that's possible in these kind of movies.
I just didn't buy it. I wasn't sold, and it took me out of the movie.
Says the
Salty
man
didn't buy it, guys.
who loves dinosaur movies.
Salty didn't buy it. This bad.
It's science fiction. This is not a science fiction movie. There's a difference.
I'm going to stab you in the face.
I know you guys are all giving me the evil eye. All right, Vader. Why don't you tell me why you love this freaking movie so much?
Because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. I don't know what else to say. It's bombs and cop chases and buses.
The bad guy literally did like an evil maniacal laugh. Like,
so what?
We'll see each other again. And like disappeared into the garage.
I'm not saying the movie doesn't have issues, but the movie's just fun. It's fun. It's fucking Die Hard on a bus, dude.
Great dialogue.
It's considered to be one of the best thriller movies.
It's got Sandra Bullock in it. It was cute.
It was half a comedy. I was laughing half the time.
There was some moments that were laughable.
This is ridiculous.
I was watching this movie with my wife. My wife watched this movie with me. And I'm like,
that's the stamp of approval. If Story will watch a whole movie with him.
So I go, watch, they're going to jump this absolutely impossible part of the freeway. It's not ever going to happen. And there's going to magically be a ramp at the end of the freeway that this bus is going to jump over. When like 2 seconds before that, they show the freeway where they're jumping. And there's no ramp. There's nothing blocking the end of the thing.
You want to hear a funny...
It's just that kind of stuff's fun. I don't give a shit.
I didn't buy for a second that they would be able to keep that thing over 50 when they were crashing through cars.
Going around the corner.
And taking corners. Yeah. I'm like, there's no way. There's no possible way this works.
I said that to the wife. I go, there's 10 miles per hour. There's another 10 miles per hour. There's 5 miles per hour. Oh, they hit that tree. They're going like 12 miles per hour right now.
The baby with the beer cans.
It's absolutely impossible. I don't give a shit.
Ma'am.
I don't care.
Ma'am. It was cans. Ma'am.
Oh my God.
Are you sure? It was cans.
This was a lampoon.
Ma'am.
This was a comedy movie.
It was an early 90s action movie.
Trash.
All right,
not trash.
I got to set the stage for this movie.
Okay, go ahead.
I did it already. There's a bomb on a bus.
Yeah, you can't go under 50 once they go over.
Yeah,
and there's a bomb, and the bomb goes off.
And the bad guy's an ex-cop who wants to get $3 million to retire on.
Set the stage.
It's
the stage is set.
It's very simple. It's very simple.
There's a gold watch, which is a clue.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Matt.
so there was another moment too. With Jeff, not Jeff Goldblum. What's his name?
Bridges?
Daniels.
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Bridges. Where'd I get that?
I don't know. There's so many Jeffs. Where he got drunk at the party when they were like celebrating for whatever reason.
Sex.
That was straight Harry from Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's how he plays Harry. He just plays his drunk self. It was the same mannerisms, the same voice, the same tempo. I'm like,
and everybody sees Keanu as Johnny Utah or Bill and Ted.
Sure. It just took me out. It took me out of the I was not able to enjoy the movie because I was never sucked into the story.
So for the people who haven't seen this movie,
like me,
so Keanu Reeves is a cop who's part of a crisis response SWAT team. And at the beginning of the movie, there are these people who are being held hostage in a skyscraper elevator in downtown Los Angeles. And basically the bomber kind of took out the elevator cables and he's got bombs on the emergency brakes and he's demanding $3 million or else he's going to kill all these people in the elevator. So Keanu Reeves, using his gut instincts as the rogue cop, Jack Traven, he basically finds a way to kind of circumvent this plan to kill all these people. He rescues all the people from the elevator.
By becoming Spider-Man.
He upsets the bomber played by Dennis Hopper. And so Dennis Hopper plans to get his revenge by, involving Keanu Reeves' character in another bomb plot. And the bomb plot is basically he puts a bomb on a bus. Once the bus goes over 50 miles an hour, the bomb is armed. If the bus drops below 50 miles an hour, the bomb goes off, killing everyone on board. And so Keanu Reeves tracks down this bus. He gets on the bus. He tries to keep it over 50 miles an hour with the help of, the police force.
Sandra Bullock.
And while this is going on, the bus keeps running into obstacles that threaten to drop it below 50 miles an hour. And eventually, they get all the people off the bus blows up, everyone's fine. And then Dennis Hopper kidnaps Sandra Bullock's character, who was, the bus driver.
The Wildcat.
And they go on the subway. And Keanu Reeves and Dennis Hopper have a climactic fight on the subway. The subway car is damaged in the fight. It can't slow down and it's going to run out of track.
Hold on. The reason why it can't slow down is because it's shorted out from the dude's blood. That was the reason that they came up with
it works for me.
Get on board, Alex.
The control panel also took a couple bullets.
Did it?
Right.
I thought it was just the guy got blood on it.
You need to pay attention.
Because when he touched, it was fine until he touched the button and then it sparked. And I was like, oh, okay.
No, it had like multiple bullet holes in it.
All right.
So anyway, so this movie, it's considered like probably one of the best action thrillers of the 90s. And it was the first feature film of Jan de Bont, who was the cinematographer for John McTiernan on movies like Die Hard and Hunt for October. And basically, the studio wanted John McTiernan to direct this movie originally, but McTiernan was busy with another film, so he suggested that Jan de Bont do it as his first feature. And this was kind of the thing that launched Jan de Bont's career, and he went on to make Twister and a bunch of other terrible movies.
Twister.
But
Stupid movie. It's impossible.
It was impossible.
But this movie was originally written by Graham Yost, who, if you don't know who Graham Yost is, he's the writer and producer of shows like Justified with Timothy Olyphant and Sneaky Pete on Amazon Prime. And he's a very well-respected, very good writer. And this was basically his first movie, his first script that got produced. And fun fact is that Joss Whedon actually came in and did like a rewrite on the script.
You and your fun fact.
And
of course.
All the dialogue.
Fun fact, everybody.
All the dialogue in this movie was written by Joss Whedon.
Well, that makes sense.
His name is Joss.
I'm sorry, Joss Whedon.
What?
Yas.
Joss?
For some
J's
reason,
or Y's?
yeah, for some reason, I always go with the Nordic pronunciation.
He can say Iyoshi, but he can't say Joss.
Yeah.
Kill me sometimes.
Anyway.
But originally in the script, Harry, the Jeff Daniels character, he was supposed to be the bomber. That was like the big twist where it was revealed that Harry was the bomber.
That would have been cool.
And
That would have been cool.
but Joss Whedon came in and was like, well, we really need like a more focused bad guy. And so he was the one who came up with the idea of adding Dennis Hopper and also killing Harry halfway through the movie and stuff like that. So Joss Whedon had a very big role in the writing of this movie. And Keanu Reeves got cast based off of Point Break because Jan de Bont had watched Point Break and he was like, I think Keanu Reeves could carry an action movie. And this was like
That's correct.
Like I remember when all the commercials and the trailers for this movie came out, and you always had that scene of Keanu Reeves jumping from the Porsche onto the bus. And that was really him doing that jump.
Nice.
And like, I remember I was watching this commercial with a good friend of mine who was also like a filmmaker person. And he saw this and his eyes bugged out of his head. He was like, oh my God, did you just see that? And I was like, yeah, that's cool, right? I must have saw this movie like 5 times in the theater. Like I loved it. It was just such a pulse pounding, fun adventure, like action movie. And if you look at the writing structure for this, it's great because they're always presented with these new obstacles. And then the minute that they overcome the obstacles and figure out a way to get past it, they have a new, even worse obstacle that they have to overcome. In fact, I think Sandra Bullock has a line in the movie where she's like, what, you didn't think this job was hard enough? You had to go and create a gas leak? Or
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's like, well, what happens if he doesn't get what he wants? And Keanu Reeves is like, well, I guess we do this again tomorrow. And she's like, but I'm not available to drive tomorrow.
Yeah, actually, Sandra Bullock ad-libbed a lot of her stuff, like the gum line. Where
I got gum.
Yeah, see, gum.
I got gum on my seat.
Gum.
Is that the one where she's trying to get away from that creepy tourist guy?
Oh,
Yeah.
darn.
Wasn't he? Who is he? He's super famous.
Alan Ruck from
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's where, okay, yeah. I'm like, man, I couldn't place him for some reason.
Yeah,
It must be the hair.
His character Stevens was originally supposed to be kind of like a kind of asshole lawyer type guy who was on the bus, and he was supposed to get killed off, like when they're moving over to the other bus on the runway. But Joss Whedon changed the character to make him like a lot more sympathetic, and he decided not to kill him off. And I was kind of glad because like it didn't fit
He's
into like the
quirky.
stereotypical like asshole lawyer guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He's much more memorable.
And the thing I like about this movie is like, so you have like all these people on the bus, and in most movies, like you don't really get to know or care about any of these people, but they did a really good job of like kind of getting you to know them enough.
Yeah.
Where you were invested in their character.
Yeah, most of them had a little bit of a, they had one or two lines.
Gigantor.
Gigantor. Yeah, I thought that was funny when he called him that.
I didn't mean to shoot the driver, man.
Yeah. That guy.
That guy.
Helen, the old lady.
Yeah.
Who got blown up.
Yeah, I didn't like her. She deserved to die. Selfish bitch. I'm going. Screw all the rest of you.
Boom. gone. Just ran over.
They were egging her on.
And blown up and ran over.
You also had Joe Morton as Captain McMahon, who was from Terminator 2.
Yep.
And
that fantastic mustache in this movie.
Oh yeah,
my gosh,
mustaches were on point in this movie. It's funny because Jan de Bont wanted Keanu Reeves to cut his hair because he had typical long Keanu Reeves hair.
Yeah,
and so he was like, Keanu, like go out and get like a kind of haircut that a cop would actually get. And so Keanu was like on it, and he went
back with a buzz cut,
and he went and he got like a super like tight crew cut, like he was basically bald.
Yeah,
and the studio flipped out. They were like. He's bald. So they had to actually delay shooting so that his hair could grow back in.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So like the
Alex, you can't laugh. You didn't like this movie.
I can laugh at the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. The haircut that you see Keanu have in this movie, that's like a month's worth of growth.
That's fun
right there. Because they had to like delay shooting.
That's funny.
But we talked about one of the most iconic scenes in this movie is the bus jumping the gap in the 105 freeway.
Yeah.
And that was originally not in the script. One day Jan de Bont, because they were using the 105 because it wasn't open yet, so they wouldn't have to redirect traffic. So when they were shooting this movie, Jan de Bont was driving by and he saw that they hadn't finished this part of the freeway yet. And he was like, we have to have a scene where the bus jumps that gap. And so like, it's kind of funny because we say like, oh, it's not realistic for a bus to make that jump, right?
Tell me they actually jumped the bus.
Well, they did. So here's the thing. Obviously, there wasn't a gap there. The gap was put in digitally. But when they were getting ready to film this thing, so they had a special bus that was going to get up to at least 70 miles an hour, which is hard for buses.
That's pretty high. Yeah, that's pretty good for a bus.
And they also had like a special rig in the bus so like it wouldn't compress the driver's spine. And the driver's section was kind of put back further from the front, so like the driver wouldn't get ejected when it lands.
Landed.
So they all their experts, and it's kind of funny because you think like when people do these stunts, like these people are like they know what they're doing. Like, no. It's like they're super scientific about this stuff.
They're like, let's just try it.
Let's try it and see what happens.
Yeah. So like they estimated that the bus would jump about 20 feet. And so like they had all the cameras set up and they had all this stuff. And so the bus goes, it hits 70 miles an hour. It hits this ramp. It goes 50 feet and frickin' lands on top of all the cameras they had set up.
Oh no.
Destroyed all the cameras.
Oh my God.
And so Jan de Bont had to call Panavision. They're like, yeah, we broke all your cameras. Do you have any more lying around so we can finish shooting this movie?
That's great.
So like
did they use that footage?
No, like they couldn't.
No.
Is there footage of this happening? That's what I want to know.
Well, all the cameras got destroyed, but like they had to do it a second time with the knowledge that like, okay, this is the distance it really can go. Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah, we're going to shoot it with longer lenses this time, further away. So like the stuff that we see in the movie is actually from the second shoot.
Okay.
But like the first take was just disastrous. And then like everyone was like, oh, we fucked that up. And like they had to shoot the rest of the movie on these like older, like
crappier
cameras. And they actually ran out of money. Like the, so Jude said this movie was like a $30 million movie. They ran out of money towards the end of this movie. And so like they just had to get really creative with like how they like shot stuff.
Wasn't this the movie that kind of like it launched Sandra Bullock, right?
Well, Demolition Man was the first movie that she was in.
And
But this was her breakout role.
Put her on the map, right?
Yeah.
And then I also want to say that Keanu Reeves, everybody knew Keanu Reeves before this movie, but this is the one that made him like an action.
Yeah. This made him an action star, basically. And it was kind of funny because when the Matrix came out, people were accepting of him as an action movie lead because of this movie.
Right.
Like if he had done the Matrix without doing Speed first, I don't think it would have had the same draw.
Yeah. I mean, this movie what time of the year did it come out? Because
it was a summer movie.
Because this is like summer blockbuster. Turn your brain off.
Yeah,
go to the movies, have some fun.
Everyone making this movie thought it was going to be terrible. Like the studio didn't have any faith in it at all. But when they started doing the test screenings for the movie, audiences like when you go to the bathroom, like you get up and you walk down the aisle, people were getting up and walking backwards so they wouldn't miss anything. And the studio executives were like, we might have something here.
Yeah, it's like I know I kind of gauge these movies we talk about every week on my wife. I know I've talked about this before, but every week I'm going to go home today and I'm going to go, hey wife, this week we're watching this, and this. do you want to watch any of those with me? And I did that last week. And she goes, oh, I'll watch Speed. Speed's good. I like that movie.
Dude, the music.
That tells me right there, man, that movie probably will have made a lot of money at the box office.
General audience acceptance.
The music in this movie is on point too. It's like dun 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 dun. And like you're just they're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
She doesn't care how many floors there are between where the elevator is and the top of the roof.
I was like, there's no way.
And neither does 99.9% of the rest of the general going movie audience.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
You know, there is one thing that really bugs me about this movie, and it's that. So when you're shooting on a bus, like. All the scenes on the bus, like they were actually driving that bus. Like, in fact, Sandra Bullock got her bus driver's license just for this movie. But when you're filming like that stuff and you're recording the dialogue, you're picking up on all like the engine noises, the traffic. When they were filming at the airport, there were like planes like taking off and landing. So like, you know, they weren't getting clean sound recordings. So almost all the dialogue in the middle of this movie, from the point that they get on the bus to the point where the bus blows up, is ADR, which is basically dialogue that's added in post-production, where the actors go in, re-record their dialogue and try to match the dialogue of the movement of their lips with the dialogue.
Makes sense, yeah.
And it gives it this like kind of surreal quality. And we kind of saw that in the James Bond movie that we watched for Sean Connery week, where all the actresses had their voices like overdubbed. But in this movie, it's like a good chunk of the movie, it's all ADR dialogue. And so like when I'm watching it, I'm always like, you know, the sync is just a little bit off on all these things. And so like it kind of takes me out of the movie a little bit. But other than that,
I've never picked up on that.
I mean, it's not something most people would, but it's just like a little thing that, you know, stands out to me. But for the most part, like I feel like this movie is up there with like Die Hard in terms of like awesome action movies.
Oh no,
for sure.
This Die Hard's way better.
This is one of my favorite action movies.
This movie is iconic, dude.
I know, I understand that, and I'm not trying to take anything away from that for people.
Are.
No, I'm not.
Your poopy pants. You just saw some movie.
I just didn't buy it. You know what I did buy though is after the whole bus thing ended and the bad guy kidnapped Sandra Bullock. Like from there on, I was kind of like, oh, this is getting more interesting now. Like the whole chase scene, we were chasing him through the subway and he's climbing on top of the subway car and he's dodging the lights and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is like that part of the movie was the most exciting and most fun part for me.
It's funny because Graham Yost's original script, it was all on the bus. And once they got off the bus, the movie ended.
I would have been pissed if it ended.
The studio was like, dude, you can't have an entire movie on a bus. And so like they had to go in, and Jan de Bont had an experience when he was working on Die Hard where he got stuck in an elevator on like the 40th floor of like this high rise. And so like that was like the inspiration for the opening scene in this movie where he was like, what if people are trapped in an elevator and it's going to fall?
That's a stupid idea.
and so they added that, and then they added the subway scene at the end just so like it wasn't entirely on the bus.
Nice little bookend.
Yeah, I think it might have been like a good idea, but I kind of feel like the movie, it felt like the movie should have ended after the bus exploded.
I kind of agree.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought
the ending was just a little bit too much.
Overindulgent.
A little overindulgent. Yeah.
But I love Dennis Hopper in this movie. Like I just love like how overacting he is.
Oh my gosh.
He very much is.
Like he just goes full Dennis Hopper, like straight out of Blue Velvet.
I want
Pabst Blue Ribbon, motherfucker.
I want $3 million. I'm like,
pop quiz, hot shot.
Oh my god.
What are you gonna do?
And that's a Joss Whedon line too.
The whole setup was he was upset that his hand got damaged for a part of the job and he had to be forced into retirement. And I'm like, that's what you're so upset about is because you don't have a finger? Like he was missing one finger. That was all.
He was born in the wrong decade. He needed to wait for cybernetic hands. I
just like his motivation for being so angry that he was willing to kill multiple people just to get $3 million. I was like, over a finger? Really? Is that where we're going with this? I'm like,
it was a thumb.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thumbs are very important.
He really wanted to play video games.
He's never going to jerk off right again.
It's going to be a stranger his whole life.
Learn how to do it with your left hand, buddy.
Wow, that got weird.
Okay, guys, final thoughts on Speed. Vader, you're obviously just enthralled with it. You love this movie?
Yeah, it's fun. I give it a solid 4 stars out of 5.
4 stars, wow.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, sure. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Turn your mind off. Have some fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I tried. I'm sorry. Jude, what about you? Final thoughts?
I love this movie. 10 out of 10. Love it.
10 out of 10.
Love
Holy
it.
cow.
Love it.
All right, Matthew Kadish, final thoughts on Speed.
5 buses out of 5. I love this movie. I think it's iconic. It's up there with some of my favorite action movies of all time.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I didn't like this movie, but I recommend you go watch it because apparently I'm in the minority. So go check it out.
Alex doesn't know what he's talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm doing this podcast. I have no right.
Fired.
You're just the host.
I'm just the host.
You're the face. You're not the brain.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just your podcast.
All right, guys. That's our Keanu Reeves week. What a great week. I had a ton of fun watching these movies. Thank you guys for listening. If you would like to listen to more stuff that we do, go to saltynerdpodcast.com. You can check out all of our other episodes. We do a fun theme every week, and then we also do focused reviews in the midweek. We drop 3 episodes a week, guys. Man, that's a lot of content. So go to saltynerdpodcast.com, subscribe, like, share with your friends, leave us a 5-star review, and we'd really appreciate it. All right, where can we find everybody on the socials? Matthew Vader.
At Matt Vader 74 on all of them.
Right on.
Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Parler.
Are you a Parler Nazi?
That's a different show. Different show, sir.
Okay.
But yes, I am.
Jude, where can they find you?
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram and Twitter.
Right on. And Matthew Kadish.
At Matthew Kadish, Kadish, on Twitter and Parler. And kadishbooks.com if you want to check out my books on Amazon.
Right on. And I am your host, The Salty Nerd. You can find me on Twitter at salty_nerd. Check us out. Talk about movies. And if you want, man, you could throw a request our way. We're always looking for some new movies to watch. So
what are we doing next week?
I don't remember.
Nick Cage.
Oh, yeah. Next week is Nicolas Cage.
Nick Cage November.
We're talking The Rock, Lord of War, my favorite movie, and Raising Arizona, which I haven't seen yet. And we're also doing a focused review on his brand new movie that's coming out. Jujutsu, the space samurai movie. It sounds freaking...
It's going to be better than 47 Ronin.
It sounds bananas. So we're going to check that out too. So catch us next week, guys. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye.
Present you is burnt out at your current job. But future you works at Geico. And future you is also a beekeeper.
Me? I don't even go outside.
Well, with Geico, you got a consistent schedule. So you are now one with nature, my friend.
So I've become a bee person?
Technically an apiarist. And yes, you also got a competitive salary, so you had the funds to start a new hobby.
All right. Give me that honey.
Virginia Beach. Start your future at Geico. We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Virginia Beach.
Present you is burnt out at your current job. But future you works at Geico. And future you is also a beekeeper.
Me? I don't even go outside.
Well, with Geico, you got a consistent schedule. So you are now one with nature, my friend.
So I've become a bee person?
Technically an apiarist. And yes, you also got a competitive salary, so you had the funds to start a new hobby.
All right. Give me that honey.
Virginia Beach. Start your future at Geico. We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Virginia Beach.